Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 10 of Crouching Deadwood and
Nebari. Hello, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. Wait, people don't tune in, do they? They turn on or tune out.
Drop out.
Yeah. Today we're gonna discuss some current events. It's the last week of autumn in New Zealand in the southern hemisphere. Moving on to winter next week, and yeah, we just thought we'd discuss the last few days. Adrian's been in town and was with the Wellington Bonsai Club on Sunday. And why don't you tell us a little bit about your body of work there? Because it was an ongoing kind of practice. Could you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, that's the workshops that we have been doing with Wellington Bonsai Club. Also, we do it with a couple other bonsai clubs around New Zealand, but that was a Japanese black pine trident maple workshop. I think that was the fourth workshop we've had, and I supplied the field-grown material originally. Sort of twice a year, we visit the club and progress their Japanese black pines or their trident maples that are field-grown. So it's a great workshop, actually, and everyone's trees are progressing really well.
Yeah. That was the first club meeting I've been to in a year, so I hadn't seen any of those trees other than the ladies from the Waikanae Deadwood Society. But yeah, they're all pushing along pretty well, and people are picking up what you're sharing with them.
Yeah.
So it's good to see that progress in people's trees because there's so many different kinds, and you really have to pay attention to them all very differently.
Yeah. We're sort of at the stage with most of the tridents out of the ground there. They've got primary branches developing off, and we're cutting those back slightly harder, being autumn, to create some secondary growth off those primary lines from an original trunk that's been lifted.
Yeah.
So the fun really starts coming in now, and going forward, there might be a bit more defoliating at Christmas time for them, and just starting to work at getting those secondaries into the tertiary ramification with the maples. And the black pines, a few people have been getting their decandling timing down, maybe a little bit off, but that's the thing with decandling black pines. Everybody's garden's different and the climate's different. So
yeah,
we might say here in the southern hemisphere, generally you might decandle a large or medium-sized black pine a week before Christmas, sort of generally speaking, and then you've got, after that decandling time, that certain length left through summer and autumn for that second flush to extend. And so depending on your climate in New Zealand, where you are, or your garden, that growth is going to extend plus or minus compared to somebody else's garden that might be warmer or more humid, etc., etc. So
how was Kevin's Japanese black pine?
That was pumping. He's in Otaki. It's coastal because I've been to his garden. And
it was just like an explosion
of candle growth after decandling. Yeah. Just so dense. So we had to go through there and being autumn, and that's a large part of this workshop we've just had with Wellington, is to get in there now and select those buds you want down to 2.
Get the work done so you can enjoy the development.
To avoid those ugly knuckles that we get if we don't select down to 2. Yes. The key thing that we have to go over and over is selection down to 2 for that beautiful line work.
Applies to a lot of trees, right?
Yeah.
Are there any trees that you can think of that you don't reduce to 2? Like with conifers, it's 2 buds. Chinese elms, it's working to 2 leaves.
Alternate leafing, yeah. Sometimes with Chinese elms, we're leaving 3 buds in case one gets knocked off for safety reasons or something. But, palmatum, you come down to 2 buds at the tip, tridents 2.
Yeah.
Really, across the board, you're shooting for a division of 1 to 2 throughout laterals, so you get that really elegant line. Whether it's you noticed yesterday at the Waikanae Deadwood Society, I was going through that totara group planting, and I was cutting back to 2s all through that dense growth and showing the owner rolling, cut back to 2, here's a bud here, directional pruning, but we are generally shooting to 2, whether it's Texas, Totara, Kaikatea, our natives, we're cutting back to 2, whether it's a conifer or deciduous, to create that elegant structure and make it sustainable.
What other standout trees did you see that were at the club on Sunday? I saw there was a couple people that brought in Japanese black pine that weren't from your field collection that you brought in, but they are coming in to learn the actions. And
yeah, there was that one from John, that older Japanese black pine,
Yeah.
Quite an old one. That was nice, quite dense, just needed some more structural work done,
Yeah.
So that was cool. What else came in? There was some golden radiatas.
Yeah.
That was cool to see, that had a bit of age on them. A few maples.
Do you want to talk about Kevin Haste from Levin's Ceramics?
Yes, I do, because Kevin came through with the goods. So he's from Aotearoa, yeah. Yeah. So he's been making really cool pots. We should have bought one in.
Next time.
We'll show it on screen so you can see what he's producing. But he's producing beautiful pots. And when we turned up to the Wellington workshop, he had an amazing square, really textural pot for Scott to say thank you.
Yeah, I was blown away.
It was a gift, an amazing gift to say thank you for you helping work on his trees.
Yeah, last time I was at the Waikanae Deadwood Society meeting, get together. We spent a lot of time on his trees, and we were having fun like people climbing trees. It was just amazing. And
little kids climbing trees.
And it was really cool because he'll make some ceramic pots, and then after they get a little bit into drying, I don't know his technique, but he tears the clay away to create fissures, which I really like, because when the pot's finished, those fissures create that shadow play that I really enjoy. And they're married right next to some really good texture, and the glazes were real fun for me, and I really like earth tones. While I do appreciate other colors, I have a pink pot at home that's pretty cool. Yeah, Kevin just keeps leveling his game up.
Yeah, so that was great. And he also gave me a box of 4 pots as a gift too, for ones that are just slightly warped, so they weren't perfect in his mind, in terms of maybe to sell or whatever. But oh my gosh, I was blown away.
Very cool feet in all very different glazes.
Different glazes. So thank you so much, Kevin.
Yeah,
really
shout out to Kevin.
It. Yeah,
thanks,
we'll put
Kevin
some pictures up of his pots or have them to hold on screen next time.
If I remember correctly, because there was a lot of communication over the club day and then yesterday's workshop, but I think Kevin's going to have a trade table at the Wellington show later in the year, and he's entering the pottery competition.
Oh, yeah, at the National Expo show,
which
Wellington.
Wellington is hosting they're not calling it a national show.
National Expo.
Yes. But it's in 136 days here in Wellington, and they're going to have great displays. Sounds like the team that's putting the show together is being very productive, and the website's updated. You could register at wellingtonbonsai.nz. It'll have all the information about the dates, hotels, workshops, and the guest will be Jonas Dupuy of Bonsai Tonight, and the author of Essential Bonsai. But you'll have to edit this because I just murdered it. Essential Book of Bonsai.
Yeah, I think that's it. Yep. We chatted to him on the podcast maybe 2 episodes back or something. So if you haven't listened to our chat with him, you should find it on YouTube or Spotify.
And then he'll be teaching a couple different workshops, everything from raw to refined, and also being the guest judge at the show. We've got some demonstrators. Matt Hudson will be demonstrating, Martin Walters, Sandra Quintel from Hamilton, Stephen Yin, and Adrian.
And myself.
You don't really want to give away what you're doing, but you got something tricky up your sleeve, huh?
Yes, I do. No, I'll be doing some kind of experimental native planting, which I'm going to be talking about right angle and natural form with our New Zealand natives.
Cool.
So something structural will come of it.
And as an observation, I feel like you get a really good opportunity to have some really creative workshops, and are given the opportunity to think outside of the box, which is really fun because we just never know what's coming up next.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun actually.
Yeah,
I'm always interested in exploring different ways to illustrate bonsai or nature through different compositional structures.
Yeah.
Whether that's traditional or pushing the traditional boundaries and going a bit more contemporary, or a blend of all.
Yeah,
it's good times.
Have we left anything out about the Wellington show?
I don't think so, but it's been a great time in Wellington. And after Wellington's workshop on Sunday, then Monday we went down to Waikanai, to the Waikanai Deadwood Society. And what a day with those guys.
Yeah, we started like right out of the gate. We just unloaded trees and...
Yep.
Let's talk about that first one, Mandy's tree.
So Mandy, she turned up with a really amazing coprosma, native New Zealand coprosma, it's just old, craggy, sort of the angle changes in the trunk, but a huge piece of deadwood just rolling through the trunk and off the side.
Off a really small square pot.
Yeah, amazing tree. We really need to get a photo of that as it progresses.
I think it
and show you guys what it looks like.
Maybe it's earned the title of gnarly.
It's definitely a gnarly tree. So that was great right off the bat with the Waikanai Deadwood Society to get in and design a coprosma with a ton of deadwood flowing off the edge of the pot. That was a great tree to get started in. And coprosma, definitely worthwhile exploring that species, as I'm always harping on about with the native species. Coprosma, especially Coprosma repens, the coastal coprosma we have, is a really strong, tough tree. You can incorporate deadwood. The deadwood doesn't necessarily last a long time. It does break down and rot out, so you'll need to treat it. But beautiful leaf forms. The leaf can scale down really easily. And at the Waikanai Deadwood Society with them on Monday, I talked about Coprosma repens and Coprosma repens poor nights, which is the poor nights coprosma, which is a ground cover. So they're quite often used as landscape trees around our native plantings by the councils and just home gardens around Aotearoa. So you'll see a green leaf coprosma crawling along the ground. As they trim them, they become quite upright.
Yeah.
And they just naturally get a really beautiful, gnarly trunk, easy to collect.
Do I remember right that Mandy said that she was growing in her lawn for 15 years?
Yeah, 15 or 20 years. And then the deadwood part of that coprosma was actually the root system.
Yeah.
And it had fallen over and the root had jutted out and it was just all deadwood.
Spiraling. Cool natural shari going.
Natural shari's running out. They get really good bark too. What they do is they age quite quickly. Even a young coprosma develops bark and cragginess and dies off in sections quite naturally. So
it's really an ideal tree for us all to be using in New Zealand.
Definitely. And then some people are like, are they very long-lived? Because some people would hear they're not. But with the right cultivation, they are in a pot as well. Because I know of coprosmas that are 60 years old in a pot.
Yeah, cool.
That's a long time in a pot.
You must be seeing some impressive ones across the country then.
Yeah, there's if you dive into the coprosma species, there's so many.
Is it kind of like maples where there's 1,500 different kinds?
Yeah, it's like that. Really.
Yeah.
So there's big leaf, small leaf, but all of them, the leaves can be reduced down. They get beautiful berries, sort of little fluffy flowers that produce berries. So many leaf colours. Yeah. Anyway, coprosma, very cool. What else did we get into?
Mike has had a bunch of blue cedars.
Blue cedar work, yep. I noticed people around Aotearoa love their blue cedars.
I mean, who doesn't? The colour is pretty impressive.
So I did a bit of work on those, and we did a totara group planting, which was a younger planting, but we really fleshed that out, set the scaffolding, and created some age.
Shaylin's Hinoki.
Oh, yes, an old Hinoki that had gotten fungal infection, and that was a very old tree, actually. Small, beautiful, sinuous trunk, dwarf Hinoki cypress, and that had lost a lot of branches through fungal problems, which is super common.
So she did a great job of growing her Deadwood.
Yeah,
Shaylin.
So that all became Deadwood, which we're always turning lemons into lemonade here. So that was beautiful little Hinoki. We added Deadwood into the sections where the foliage had obviously died out from fungal infection, but it was a very healthy tree. So she saved that tree by getting on top of the fungus, copper oxychloride in the summer and lime sulfur in the winter. And it was super healthy. So it was fun with the Waikanae Deadwood Society to be able to go through something like a Hinoki cypress and show them in detail how to prune out a cypress like that, because those fans of growth and how it just balls up and twists and those tufts, people I've noticed generally just stand back and don't get in there with their cypress and structurally prune it, lay the structure out
into pads.
Yeah, and cut to twos again, even something that balls up like that, a conifer, cut to twos. So I lay out the structure for them. Get those, cut that little heart-shaped fan out of the tips.
Yep.
And you can safely remove quite a lot of foliage on a Hinoki.
Yeah, and even after you did and laid everything out with her, it didn't look sparse. It looked really good.
Yeah. What was really great about the Waikanae Deadwood Society, that crowd, they're really hands-on. So I might detail wire out a branch, for instance, and then they'll just get in there and replicate and do the work and really get hands-on in it. And so their skills are exploding.
Yeah.
It's great.
Mandy had another cedar.
Oh, yeah, that older cedar that went, that's right. See, Deodara, yeah.
Yeah, it was like a slant that had some nice kinks going up the trunk, and then it had some jogging back and forth where the top 3 or 4 branches were starting to shade out the bottom ones, and we discussed some options, and Adrian got in and Shazammed it.
That was one of those sort of typical of a Deodara cedrus where it weeps. So if you're not doing too much to it structurally, they sort of weep down, but they get a flat top.
Yep.
And they
That's
just weep down.
What's happening.
So we just had to do a few angle changes in there and create a definitive apex to get a base to tip line in the trunk. As soon as we did that and lifted that off, it went from a 2-dimensional tree to a beautiful
really nice
structure
movement in the upper part. It was real easy to see.
Yeah.
She had a Putakawa, I think you guys worked on. Did some primary branch selection.
Yeah, there was a couple of Putakawa Moldy Princess that we worked on.
Cool.
And it's worth mentioning because we talk about this all the time, but some people are, emailing in or whatever and saying, I've had a Putakawa for 15 years, it hasn't flowered yet, or 20 years, when's it going to flower? Why do my Putakawa bonsai not flower compared to your Putakawa or my friend's Putakawa down the road that's flowering? So one thing to be aware of is a Putakawa, if you're trimming it and it's resulting in juvenile growth, it's not really going to flower off that juvenile growth. So as you keep pruning it out and it gets older, it turns into mature growth with age, which is the mature leaf form is that grey, blue-greeny kind of leaf with the furry underside, not the sharper, pointed juvenile leaf that's green.
Yeah,
comes out red into green.
Yeah.
So if you want to bypass that length of time, then you should seek out a Putakawa that doesn't, when you prune it, push out juvenile growth, such as Putakawa Moldy Princess, because that you prune it and the mature foliage just keeps flushing out.
And in my experience, I haven't had
a lot
of
flowers so consistently,
and even really young. I had one that I was developing was a mame, and it's got a long way to go, but it was really young and put out flowered. Yeah.
So Putakawa Moldy Princess is a consistent flower, and you prune it, it pushes out mature growth and it flowers on that growth. And I mean, over the years, a long time ago, when I was a teenager, I was driving through Mount Maunganui after going for a surf, and I was driving down the coast towards Whakatane, actually. And I was just driving along, and it was sort of near Christmas, around Christmas time, and I could see a big run of pohutukawas all flowering. But just one out of a big run of them had this really intense flower color, really dark magenta tone to the flower.
Cool.
And I was like, whoa. So I stopped the car and took a cutting off that and thought that would be awesome for bonsai. It had a smaller leaf to it as well compared to the other ones surrounding it, which is the other thing I found interesting. So I took a cutting off that, and I've produced over the last 20 years quite a few pohutukawas of that variety. But that one, it just always flowers, and you prune it, and it results after pruning and pushing mature growth, flowers every year. So it's worth seeking out the varieties that reliably do what you want. Otherwise, you could just grab a pohutukawa, Metrosideros excelsa, from a garden centre like people do, and just start growing it as a bonsai, and maybe 20 years later it's flowering, maybe 10 years later it's flowering. But you can bypass that time by seeking out the varieties that will do what you want to do.
Yeah.
So,
do you want to discuss, let's see, it was a Japanese quince?
Yes, it was actually.
That
was quite old.
Caroline, one of the founding members of the Waikanae Deadwood Society, had a work obligation, couldn't make it, so she sent some trees, and I wired up and repotted her Japanese quince, and then Adrian styled it, but he was able to tell me a little bit about the age of the tree because he knows quite a bit more about them than I do. Do you mind sharing your insights on that tree with the listeners?
I really love Japanese quince, dwarf quince. So it's an ornamental dwarf quince in Japan called Shinomiles or Kanoles, however you want to pronounce it. But that was speciosa. Everybody's always looking for chochobai, which is the real dwarf from Japan, which I have never seen in New Zealand. And that's the variety of Japanese quince that gets the beautiful craggy bark on it.
And little tiny flowers.
And smaller flower, and a much smaller leaf, and can become very dense in ramification through pruning, as we looked at through the Kokofu book last night. So that's something I always lust after but have never found in New Zealand. So anyway, we do have speciosa, which is a dwarf Japanese quince, and it comes in so many different flower colours. The flowers range from pure white to salmon, pink, to bright pink, to really dark red.
So what we're saying is, if you actually have chochobai, contact us so we could wheel and deal.
Sing out, but it's not likely you do. But you never know.
And then that really cool Chinese elm, it's a shohin. It's like a big trunk, and it's getting some ramification going on in the top, and the other end of the apex looked really good after pruning was done. It'll be nice to see that get into a pot, because I don't know how closely you got to see that. There was a really good Deadwood feature up the side of that trunk as well too, and it was like,
I didn't get to investigate that tree.
It's sumo. I look forward to seeing where that one goes.
Yeah. What else was going on yesterday?
Mike
trees?
had that real tall fuchsia.
Oh yeah.
That someone was just gonna rip out of the ground and throw away.
Mike moving out of a hedgerow or something.
Can I help you?
So you got a cool fuchsia, and I talked through that design with him of having a multiple apical thing going on with dead tops and candelabra style, which he was excited about. That's a good way to go with a tree like that.
Would you call that a twin trunk?
Actually, when we looked at it, I thought there'd be 3 to 4 iterations of trunks.
Yeah.
That tree-on-tree design sort of thing. So the trunk comes out, divides, and there's a tree growing on top of another tree. And then tops snapped out. It's a really fun way to go with a fuchsia like that. Yeah. And What else? There was karaoke.
There was a lot of trees.
There were a lot of trees we got through.
Did we say that we got through 25 trees?
I think so, yeah. Good times.
So through with the 7 of us, we got to have a full day, 9 o'clock until it was dark.
Yeah.
What a fun day.
Put on lunch for us. That was a great day in a beautiful garden too.
Yeah, Shaylin and Simon had a beautiful place. Shaylin and Simon, thanks for hosting the event.
Thank you, Waikanae Deadwood Society.
We appreciate
we'll be back.
Amazing time with you both.
We're going to do a repotting with them hopefully
in August. Yeah.
So we'll need to sort that out.
It'll be real cool. Hopefully we could have it at Caroline's next time. She has a great workshop space indoors, plenty of light, plenty of space, but also has, I won't give any of it away. I'll take some photos and we'll share it when it happens. It's a really special place. And I always go like, when I'm there, I'm like, wow, it's one of the coolest places. But so is Shaylin's. It's really beautiful.
Yeah,
Let's see. So then on the event calendar, we've got the Hamilton annual Bonsai Club show and 109 days at September 12th and 13th.
So that's the one that's just after the national show or just before?
It's just before.
Just before the national show.
We just went over the Wellington one first because that's where you started the first day.
That's right.
With the Wellington Club.
Yeah, down here in windy Wellington, which has been completely still for 3 days now.
Yeah, today we'll be working on my collection, but it's like going to be 15 degrees and no wind. So we're going to have a great day ahead of us.
Yeah.
But back to the Hamilton. Again, a lot of the same vendors. We expect to see Dan Becker Woodworks, Ken Bonsai, David Lee Imports, hopefully Trevor Gardner, and B Major Bonsai will have some field-grown trees available.
Yeah, I might have some trees for sale too.
Still contemplating that? You'll have to show up and find out.
Yeah.
The Hamilton Club are lovely people. Adrian works with them regularly. And I've set up the show a couple times. And 5 years ago, they had me judge the show. And they've asked me back again this year. So that'll be fun because...
so you're judging the show.
Yeah.
Cool.
Been growing quite a bit more, so I'm looking forward to the critique, just to open up the conversation of storytelling.
Yeah. And I was with the Hamilton crowd, just feels like a week or two ago.
2 weeks ago.
And they have put the challenge out to their club to be the best, the leading shohin bonsai club, producing the best shohin in the country. So they've put that challenge to their club members. So other clubs around New Zealand maybe pick up the challenge.
Level up,
because Hamilton have decided to be the leading shohin club in Aotearoa.
Yeah.
So if you're out there at a different bonsai club or not at a bonsai club at all, but you're just thinking, oh, really? Everybody up your game, shohin. See if you can challenge show Hamilton what you got, because they're going to come through and be the best unless you step in and challenge.
Their clubs also asked the two of us to do a Q&A at the event on Saturday and Sunday. So bring your questions and we'll bring our thinking caps and sense of humor.
Or lack thereof.
Winding back because there's a little bit of volley because the country is so small. So there was a wisteria that Shaylin got from this Hamilton show last year, and Adrian knew the tree because...
Oh, yeah, that came from Les and Melody's collection.
Yeah.
Yeah, an older wisteria. And we we repotted that and did a bit of cutback and design on that yesterday with the Waikanae Deadwood Society. There's some really good wisterias around New Zealand.
Great base. It had I would say 3 primary branches from the trunk, and they all had separate and very unique character to each of them. Where it's a slant, but it's how it's set up. Its flowers will be draping off of 3 to 4 different sections.
Yeah, because when we're designing a wisteria, we do want to consider when it's flowering and its peak flowering and beauty to it, displaying that tree and designing it so that of course we want to design it tree-like and aesthetically pleasing when it's not in leaf also. But we are contemplating branch positioning for a wisteria for when it's in peak flower and those flowers are just draping down, so placement of those flowers.
Yeah, nice silhouette really distribution.
Nice. Yeah, hanging off the pot in flower. But there's some great wisteria around the country.
Yeah, sounds like Les has got quite a few.
Yeah, they've got some good ones there. And Kevin from Otaki, he's got some great wisteria. He's got about 15 good ones.
He sounds like he has all the trees.
He's got some good trees for sure. So that's great. Yeah, wisteria. She was actually going to save that for taking to the National Expo to Jonas. But she sort of asked, would this be appropriate material for that time of the year for Jonas to work on? But the timing wouldn't really be right. So we thought, let's get into it now and suggest a different tree to take for Jonas to sink his teeth in when he's here.
Yeah. How about I feel like we're starting to wind down and can talk about Caroline's Japanese black pine that she got from your field growing operation.
Yep.
I got that wired up and you styled it yesterday.
It's going to be a great tree.
And then we could talk a bit about what you have going on with your subscription. Does that sound?
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. Japanese pine was at a really cool slant position. The one side of the root ball is tilted up like this with some exposed roots that will look really cool once this is out of a grow box and in a pot. Because the tree had just been pushed out of the ground by nature and had a really cool apical region and then a couple different sweeping branches that before it got styled looked super long and were so leggy. But this guy was able to compress it and make the layout of the apex really complementary and compact. And it'll be impressive to see it get into a pot when it's ready.
Yeah, it'll be a nice tree. Because we do need to consider with Japanese black pine while we're styling too. You'll notice with that apex, I put some good angle change in to form the apex.
Yeah.
But those hard angle changes, that's very Japanese black pine. The first lower branch that I brought in and just put some elegant lines into to bring the foliage in closer to the trunk. Eventually we'll cut back a lot of that since we've laid the foliage out. As we decandle that, we'll cut back and get some harder angle change. But it is worth mentioning that when we work Japanese black pine compared to, say, radiata, or even red pine, densiflora, radiata and densiflora, they do have a more sinuous flow to the branch lines and it's not hard angles, but you just put any Japanese black pine next to a red pine or a radiata, you'll just see the growth pattern of a black pine.
Vastly different.
Yeah, it's very different. It's very angular.
Yeah.
And the needle's very sharp, which kind of reflects the angle change and the pointed.
Kind of like the ponderosas that are up in the forest by me. And then on the other side, it has the radiatas that are round.
Yeah. So it is worth, when you're designing your pines, considering what type of pine it is. And Scots pine, for example, is very different in feel again. Ponderosa is very different. So study those trees in the wild, in particular ones that have been really smashed around by the environment, because you'll see ponderosas, right? Big muscular curves to the trunks and sinuous. Radiata can have those jagged angle changes, which we've talked about a lot, but in general, and they also have a sinuous kind of bulge to them as well as they get older, radiata, but Japanese black pine, very angular. So similar to densiflora is similar to radiata. Radiata is a very underutilized species here because it's quite similar to densiflora, to Japanese red pine. They're really beautiful for whether you want to create a really strong, heavy tree with a large base, or they're really great for beautiful literati, like a densiflora, Japanese red pine. So don't sleep on radiata.
Plus,
so much of it around, and we can, and for shohin even. I mean, a lot of people are like, how could you make a radiata shohin? But I do it, and I've done it for clients, and we get the needle down with decandling. We get the needle down as small as we'd get a black pine. Easy. And don't sleep on the bark of a radiata too, because it barks up like a Japanese black pine, and sometimes even more so. It definitely gets that deep fissured bark with time. Yeah, it's just robust species.
There's been a couple of years in the past where the conditions in my care was just correct with radiatas, where some of them had 3 or 5 flushes of buds a year.
Yeah. I've decandled radiata in my garden in Mangawhai, decandled twice in a season and just kept growing.
Yeah.
And currently, because we've had a very warm autumn, and a very wet, warm start to autumn, the radiatas never stopped growing, and the ones that I did decandle twice, they're just pushing and back budding like crazy, even older ones. Back budding further down the branch where it's starting to get slightly fissured bark too. So yeah, they're very fast to produce. It is worth remembering though, you probably don't want too many radiata in your collection if you just want some refined ones, because that's a lot of work, because they sometimes don't stop growing.
That reminds me on that growth habit, Mike, the new member of the
crypto. The Cryptomeria. Yeah, I love Japanese cedar a lot, and he brought along a nice smaller Japanese cedar, Cryptomeria japonica, one of the sort of sub varieties. It's a bit more fluffy in growth, but that was really good to run through and design that with him and show the, creating a formal upright essentially, but making sure we're getting the taper right to the trunk, cleaning out the foliage, and also I showed how to correctly prune a Cryptomeria, clean those undersides, get it dividing to 2, and laying out the structure so that with constant pruning over the years, cleaning out the undersides, we get those fingers naturally coming up into that foliage pad, and then he gets the fun decision of how much sort of volume to the pad he likes. Those fun things for when that really develops. So he was really stoked with that, and good information passed on there for Cryptomeria. But it's another species that are beautiful, but it's better to just have maybe 2 to 3, maybe 4 beautiful Cryptomeria in your collection,
unless you want to retire early.
Yeah, because your work will be cut out for you because they grow so strong. You might be pinching those Cryptomeria in some areas of Aotearoa like 10 times per growing season once you enter refinement. So remember, when you get these trees in sort of closer to a refinement stage, your work doesn't go down.
It goes up.
Your workload increases. So that's why it's better to have sort of 3 stunning refined Cryptomeria that you can stay on top of and make sure you're always refining and keeping that beauty in check. Better to have 3 stunning ones than 10 to 15 average ones that you can't stay on top of.
Anything else
What else? That's probably covers it for today. Cool. Down here in non-windy Wellington. We're looking forward to getting into your trees very soon.
Thanks.
What are we going to do? We're going to do a bit of repotting, bit of autumn repotting.
Yeah, we got a pyracantha over rock, and
we're going to do some exposed root stuff.
Yes, exposed root.
Yeah.
Thanks for watching and listening to episode 10 of Crouching Deadwood, Hidden Nebari. We're already putting together some ideas when we make it to the Hamilton show for a podcast there. And of course, later on in the year, we'll get to spend some time with Jonas again and do a follow-up and recap for the Wellington show. So thank you, and may you and your trees be healthy.
Yeah. Thanks, guys.